Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Daniel, one half of the Kwok Brothers. Today, I have such a very special guest, Mr. Bill Allen. And no, is not related to Tim Allen. If anything, he's the real Santa Claus because he's making seven-figure flipping happen. But in this video, we're going to talk about how this man went from 0 to 7 figures a year in flipping and wholesaling. Predominantly, you're in the flipping space. So thanks for being with us, Bill. It's an honor and a pleasure for you to join us.
Thanks for having me, Daniel. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So where were you at? I know a lot of people, they start their journey, in multiple different ways, right? Maybe they have a friend who talked to them about real estate, or maybe they saw a billboard, or maybe they saw an ad, like those Carlton Sheets, old ads and late night television. How did you get involved with real estate investing?
So I was in the military. So when I was in college, I had a commanding officer tell me, and that's the guy who runs all of the Navy people at Georgia Tech, where I went to school. He said, I bought a house everywhere that I went, and I always made money. So that was kind of in the back of my mind, but I focused on my studies, on soccer, on getting into the Navy and going to flight school. I became a pilot, and then, there was a point where I just wasn't seeing my net worth go up at all. Like, I was very slow. So I was in the stock market, I was an index fund investor, and I was watching my net worth. Like, every month I would check my net worth, and I just wanted to become a millionaire one day, right? I figured it would be when I'm 60 or 70 years old. And as long as I was smart, making, 6 to 8% per year, then I would eventually tick up to be a millionaire. And for me, I was moving all the time with the military. I was a Navy pilot, I was moving, and I bought a house, and I started watching HGTV and YouTube videos of how to fix up the house and like redo tile and redo the bathroom. Fixed up the house, and then when I moved out, I rented it out. And I was making a couple $100 a month from that. And then I did it one more time, and I said, wow, this is actually, my net worth is starting to increase. The equity's going up. So that was it. I just kind of like jumped in. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't necessarily get any training. I was, watching YouTube videos. I was reading on online forums and stuff like that. So, but that commanding officer of mine in the back of my head, he was speaking to me every time I moved. I was renting, and then I rented again, and I rented again, rented like 4 different times until I was, 23, 24. And I said, I think it's time for me to try this out and buy a house. And I did, and just kind of kept it. I kept moving around and kept buying another house in different cities.
That's awesome. So, it sounds like, so you watched HGTV, you watched YouTube videos, you went on online forums. Obviously there's a lot of people who do that right now. They're on this YouTube channel right now watching this video, and they're on online forums and whatnot. But, I'm sure all those people who do that necessarily don't succeed, right? If anything, there's a very minority amount of people that actually do and accomplish what you accomplished. What was that first step like? I think that's a question that a lot of people ask. What was that first step like, doing your first deal? What are some regrets, some mistakes? What are some things that you've learned?
Well, so there's a lot in there, right? So I don't know that I was necessarily successful in the beginning either. I was definitely jumping in, but it took me a lot of time to learn all this stuff. Like, I'm an engineer, and so I like to understand how things work. And I was learning. And I'd say the one thing that I wish I did was just take some action a little bit earlier, even just small action. It didn't have to be huge. But what I really learned then in that first house was I paid retail. Like, I just found a house on the MLS. I paid retail. I fixed it up, and then I rented it out. And the numbers worked pretty well. But when I look back now, with knowing what I know now then, I would never have bought that house. Like, right now, I wouldn't buy it. But it worked out okay for me at the time, right? I moved out, rented it out, built up some equity, and then I eventually sold it. I sold the house, 5, 6 years later. And I made some money, and I moved that money to the things that I do now. But my recommendation to anybody isn't to think that you have to know everything and learn it all and be, 10 years in the future to get the best deal that you can today. I just bought something, and I was living in it. So I liked the house. There was an opportunity to rent it out, and the rental rate was pretty good when I moved out. But I would never buy that house today. And it's okay. I made money on it. It was a great learning experience. And so my recommendation, like, knowing what I know now that you asked, I would say, like, I love the fact that I know that I don't pay retail for houses anymore. Like, everything that we buy right now is off market or discounted or distressed or something like that. And that's where we can really make big money in flipping, or even on a buy and hold or a wholesale deal.
Yeah. And I'm sure this is a question that everyone's just dying to ask you right now. If they're in front of you face to face, is how do you find those type of deals where you get, discounts off retail price, and, you find them off market? How do you do it?
The first thing that you have to understand is that you can't put yourself in the situation of the seller. So like you can't, like a lot of people will come to me and say, why would anybody sell their house for 50 cents on the dollar? And I'm here to tell you that we do almost 200 of these a year, and it works. Like it happens. So it's possible. Get out of that mindset to start with. So then what we do is we go look for those deals. There's distress. Some sort of distress has to be present. It has to be a distressed person or a distressed home, typically, to get those kind of discounts. And if you look at it kind of like a pawn shop, like when people walk into a pawn shop, right? They know that they're taking their diamond ring into a pawn shop and they're not going to get full price for it, right? When you walk into a pawn shop, you know that that's going to happen. And so when people call us, they know that we're not going to pay full price in retail for it. But when you walk into that pawn shop, what else do you know? You know that you're going to walk out with cash in your pocket, right? And that's what you need. So for us, it's the same way. Like we really are looking for people who need us. It's got to be a win-win. And so we market, we do a lot of direct marketing. So direct response marketing, whether it's postcards, phone calls, text messages, online advertising on Google, on YouTube, right here, anywhere, right? Where are people looking for you, or where can you look for people? So we're marketing directly to them, telling them what we do, and then offering them opportunity to work with us. And what they're doing is they're trading equity in their house for ease and speed of transaction. So something that happens really fast. Same thing you do when you walk into a pawn shop. Like you're really just trading, like you need the cash today. And so something's going on. So then what life event could people be going through that they might need cash fast? It might be a divorce. It might be that you're behind on taxes. It might be that you haven't been able to pay your mortgage, or you're about to get foreclosed on, or your tenant's not paying rent, or you have to evict, or all of the things that are happening right now in today's environment of distress that allows us to help somebody out of their situation where they know that we're making money, but they're also moving away from their problem. We're solving problems. So that's how we do it. I mean, we can get really technical on it, but big picture, like first step, understand that the people that are working with you, there's people out there that need your help, and they need a real estate investor to come because nobody else is going to help them. And when you can solve another person's problem, that's where you can make money. And it's a win-win. It has to be. You're not ripping people off. You're not screwing them over. They're walking into your pawn shop, right? They know, like they know, and they don't have to do business with you. There's other opportunities. But we started buying off market. I'd say I've probably only bought about 10 houses off the MLS in the last few years, and we bought 400 or 500 directly from sellers with no agents. There's also networking. There's also other ways. Agents will send us deals as referrals and things like that. But just realizing that a seller needs you.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that you first started out with the mindset, because it has to be a mindset shift in order for people to achieve those results. I want to take a quick break here because, you're talking about a lot of great techniques, a lot of great ways to find off-market phenomenal deals. I'm sure you get that question a lot. I certainly get that question a lot on how to find great deals. But in order to find great deals, you got to go to a great YouTube channel. And your channel is a great YouTube channel. So I want to have everybody right now, if they want to find out more, if you want in your mind right now, you're watching this video and you're like, wow, I wish Bill would kind of unpack that a little bit more. I wish Bill would talk about how to find great deals a little bit more. Well, he doesn't have to, because he's already having all of that in his YouTube channel. And that's 7-figure flipping, guys. That's the number 7, the word figure, the word flipping. I'm a subscriber currently, so join me guys in subscribing. So go ahead and subscribe to his channel right now. And of course, then you can unpause this video into the next question, which is, Bill, you got a great way to have all these leads come in, but obviously you have to have an infrastructure to be able to handle all those leads. And of course, you can't be doing seven figures and flipping and wholesaling like the way what you're doing now, unless you have that infrastructure. So talk us through a little bit about that. How do you create that? Did you hire somebody? How did you go from 0 to 7 in terms of infrastructure?
Well, so when I started, I was still flying active duty for the Navy. So I was working 10 or 12 hours a day, flying airplanes for the Navy down in Pensacola. And as I wanted to build out this company, and I was sending a bunch of postcards at the time, right? That was my only means of marketing, was sending postcards to sellers. And my phone was ringing like crazy. We'd get 20, 30 calls a week, and I couldn't answer them. I was flying. So my first person, I knew I needed somebody. So my recommendation to anybody is, what is your weakness? Like, where do you not, I didn't have time. And so I needed to bring somebody in who could answer the phone, set those appointments that I could go on and look at my calendar, look at my schedule and manage it. Basically like an office manager and lead manager. So that was the first person that I hired. So I brought them in and then they started setting appointments for me because I wasn't having success in the beginning. Like, it wasn't like I sent out some cards and I was instantly making 7 figures. I wasn't getting deals. I wasn't answering the phone. And I don't like to talk on the phone either, by the way. So I'm not, number one, I don't like to do it and I didn't have time to do it. So I brought that person in. For you, it might be a bookkeeper. Maybe you're not very good at doing the books. Maybe you're flipping houses and you need a realtor to come in and go look for properties and make offers for you or something. You got to figure out, like, in your world, what it looks like. So for me, it was that office manager to come in and take those calls. And then I would go on the appointments. And I was an okay salesperson, but I wasn't great. Like, I wasn't great with the negotiation. I didn't really like to sit in somebody's like nasty house for a couple hours and get bit by fleas and then them tell me they'd rather burn the house down than sell it to me. And it was a Saturday when I was away from my wife and kids. It just wasn't for me. And so when I hired that salesperson, I hired somebody who loves to do that and negotiate and the thrill of the deal. When she came in, that's when we started to explode. And I was able to bring her in 100% commission. So it didn't cost me anything to bring that person on. And when she came in, we went from doing nothing for the first 4 months, me and my lead manager, to doing 1 deal, then 2 deals a month, then 4 deals a month. And she was able to go into the database and really just put houses under contract on a regular basis. So you have to kind of realize that although you might think that you're the best person at every single job inside of this new company that you're building, you're probably not. There's people out there that are better than all of us at whatever we do. And so when I realized that, so my team in the beginning looked like somebody to answer the phones for me, somebody to go on appointments. And then eventually we got so many deals that I was working with the title company and I was working with the sellers and the buyers. And so I needed somebody to help me on the operational side with the transactions and start coordinating those. So we hired that person to come in. And then the only thing I did at that point was the books. And I dealt with the business to business sales. So anything that we wholesaled, I was working with the buyers. So other landlords and flippers and things like that. So, but your company could look different. You might be a really good salesperson. And if you are, hold on to that as long as possible and hire out the other stuff that you're not necessarily good at. And what do you put off that's really important that you don't do because you hate it? And there's somebody out there that really loves doing that stuff. So, it was the first year we went from I did 1 flip the year before. We did 67 that year in about 8 months. Wow. And there were just 4 of us. And that was probably my best year in real estate because we made almost $700,000. We were on track to be doing $1 million. We did 120,000 that December, and there's just a couple people. And so I just organically grew that side of the business. And that's what I'll recommend to any of you. Just organically grow. Don't be too fast to just hire 5 or 6 people and build this team. Just, scale responsibly, kind of organically grow your company over time.
Yeah. So know your best and then delegate the rest. I like that. I love that. So I think a lot of people, including myself in the beginning, by the way, a lot of people are very scared to hire somebody else because, they see that as a risk, right? They see that as, well, what if that person, they steal from me, or, what if I can't trust that person? So for you, it sounds like you built a great team. You did 700,000 that year. What are some qualities you look for in hiring somebody for your real estate company to help you scale, to help you build a 7-figure flipping business?
So if it helps anybody, I remember telling my mentor who was challenging me to hire somebody, I said, I will never hire anybody. I don't want to be responsible for anyone. I'm scared to put food on their table and take care of their family and all that stuff. I don't ever want to do that. And he really challenged me. And finally I broke down and said, okay, but I have 40 people that work for me now in 2 different companies. So I was there about 5 years ago. I was definitely afraid to hire anybody. And now the thing that fills me up the most is that, like, actually hiring somebody. So qualities that I look for in people, we use this thing in our company right now called the beach test. Like, would you want to sit on the beach with this person for a week and actually enjoy their company? So really, I think it's more about culture than it is about anything else. Like, do your core values align and do you have a good culture? And I think it's really important in a small company. As you get big, like, I'm sure Amazon doesn't really have a problem with this stuff, right? But small companies like ours, we need to be really tight. And I initially thought about it like a family. And I encourage all of you, if you're just getting started, or even if you're building your business right now, to not think of it like a family, but think of it like a team, like a high-performing Super Bowl winning team. Because in the family structure, you got that, like, you got that uncle that might show up to the Christmas party that you're having and get a little drunk and drive home. And that's just like Uncle Jimmy. Right. But on the team, like, that's unacceptable. Right.
Yeah.
So what I found was, when we were thinking about like a family, it was kind of like, it's okay, they could do that or they can mess up. But the Super Bowl winning team, like, you're going to get cut. And everybody shows up, and you want the A players on the field all the time. And they know that. So my recommendation to anybody is hire the person first. Like, don't even worry about the resume until you figure out the person, and then compare apples to apples. Like, ask the same questions. What I see a lot of people do when they're hiring is they find something that they like a lot about that person. Maybe it's a sports team that they like, or maybe they grew up in the same area. And your questions go in a totally different direction than the other person that's getting the by the book questions. And at the end you go, man, I really like that person better, and really you want to compare apples to apples, but you always also want to make sure that their personality fits and their values line up with your values, because that's going to take you really far together. And there's going to be kind of like, establish your core values and hire, fire, reward people based on that specifically. So we know ours. We got 5 in my company. Every single person, you should be able to stop them. You should be able to go to one of our events, go anywhere and talk to that person and say, what are your core values? And they should be able to line them out like that with no question. That's how important they are to us.
I love that. I love that. So last question here, Bill. What's the last key piece of advice? You said to hire somebody, you said to know your best and delegate the rest. What are some finalizing pieces of advice that you would give to somebody that's watching this video, looking for answers, and they're wanting to start a 7-figure flipping and wholesaling business? What other last key pieces of advice would you give them?
Well, I would say one thing is just take it one deal at a time. Like, going from 0 to 1 deal is so hard. Like, that's the biggest jump that you have to make. That first deal it really is kind of like proof of concept. You get some serious heart from that. Like, that will drive you. Going from 1 to 10 is easier. Going from 10 to 100 is easy. And then 10 to 1,000 or 100 to 1,000 is no problem. Like, it's just a couple different tweaks. But really focusing on not thinking like, if you're sitting here going, I've never done a deal, or I've done 1 deal and I want to build this 7-figure business. Like, I didn't go after it to build a multiple 7-figure business with 20 people. I said, I'm just going to do this 1 deal, and then I'm going to do this next one, and then maybe a couple more and a couple more and a couple more. And when I look back, you just go, wow, I can't believe that I am where I am now. But if I tried to start from 0 and look that far in the future and try to get there, I wouldn't have made it. Like, it just wouldn't have happened, because you need to measure your results very specifically for where you are today. And so the way you measure your results are different than the way that me and my company measure our results. So look at that. Just keep putting those feet in front of each other. Like, take some action, keep going, and you're going to hit a wall. You're going to hit a ceiling. You're going to hit a point where you're like, this is hard. And you're just going to need to figure out, like, why are you doing this? Is this what you really want to do? What's it all for? When you think about that and you grab that why and like harness it, you'll be able to jump over the wall instead of like walk back the other direction. So I really will say the key is to like kind of be where your feet are, like be where you are, and don't try to get to another place really, really fast and lose everything along the way. So that's the biggest one for me. I'd say like the other one is I think that it's a people business. If you can really think about solving problems and helping other people, and you come at it that way, and you do it in a genuine manner, then you're going to be successful. Like, you're going to figure it out. Business, whether you're flipping houses, wholesaling houses, doing multifamily buildings, you're a landlord, you're an Airbnb, you're a developer, you're a land flipper, you own a donut shop. It does not matter. Like, we really are just business owners. And when you can figure that out and just know that you got to show up and help people, you're going to do well. Trust me. Like, that's it. Don't overthink it. Take some action. Get that first deal under your belt or that next deal, and don't look too far in the future. That's my recommendation.
Wow. Love it. And that's fantastic. I mean, you've accomplished a lot in your career. So for you to give back to other people, it's phenomenal. So again, guys, for you watching this video, I want to remind you, go to Bill's channel, 7-Figure Flipping, the number 7, the word figure, and the word flipping. Go subscribe, not just because we're asking you to subscribe, because you're genuinely going to find great content. You're going to find some great answers on how to do what Bill did and duplicate it, right? Success is binary. It's able to be replicated. So go ahead and guys, and check his videos out. I thoroughly enjoy checking out his videos as well. So go ahead and go subscribe. And thank you, Bill, so much for joining us. And again, where can people reach you besides your YouTube channel? Do you have a website? Do you have maybe, you know, an event, or maybe you can point to your shirt there? You got the shirt that you have on right now.
Yeah, we've got an event called Flip Hacking Live. It's in October, so depending on when you listen to this, October 15th, 16th, and 17th, you can go to fliphackinglive.com and check it out. And the company's called Seven Figure Flipping. We've got podcasts and all kinds of different stuff that we do. So check me out there. And if you want to get on any of our buyers lists, you can just contact me there. We'd love to work with other landlords, flippers, whoever. We wholesale quite a few houses, so love to help.
I love it. Thank you so much, Bill.
Thanks for having me.